Good day, viewers from across the world. I want to welcome you to another broadcast of the High Net Worth Investors Guide. Today, I have two extremely talented individuals in the studio, and we will be discussing business startup challenges and access to capital. We have Peter Scott, and he will talk a lot about mindset and the importance of having your personal, family, community, and corporate life master plan. And we also have Paul Whitehouse, who will be showing you tremendous possibilities that you can use to position your startup and your business to access various type of financial instrument and to allow and support it scale up. My name is Gary. I'm a best-selling author for several books. So my last book is Master the Sales Communication Process. And if you go to the bestseller portal .org, you will be able to get access to copies of those books. The High Net Worth Investors Guide is a very unique platform of learning. The High Net Worth Investors Guide stands on four important pillars. One, you get to learn the law of preparation, and this is how to really prepare yourself for success. And today I will talk a little bit about that as we go into the program to really help you to understand some of the challenges that businesses are faced with. The High Net Worth Investors Guide will also help you to understand the law of application. Because one of the things that people do, you spend many years, most of your life in the preparation zone. But if you're not applying the knowledge, you will not necessarily get the desired results that you want. So understanding what is the law of application is also essential. The High Net Worth Investors Guide will also help you to understand concepts like the law of wealth management, because once you apply yourself, you would be able to come into wealth once you apply yourself in the right way. Now, once you attain that level of success, what do you do? Do you have the tools and the processes and the systems to manage them well? We will talk a lot about that over a period of time. And last but not least, the platform is also designed to really help you to understand how to grow and expand your level of success. But coming to today's topic, and today's topic is business startup challenges and access to capital. And I will take the liberty to look at some of business startup challenges. To be successful in business, one of the challenges you want to overcome is access to data. When I speak of data, I'm talking about evidence-based marketing, and I will talk about that shortly. What exactly is evidence-based marketing? I will also talk briefly about evidence-based leadership and evidence-based management. Now, let me try to unlock this a little bit because it is vital to the success of your business. When I speak of evidence-based marketing, three things I would expect to come to mind. One, you want to ensure that you're market oriented. To be market oriented, it means that you're taking the time to do the research. You're taking the time to get critical information in terms of who's your ideal client. How can I access my ideal clients? What are the competition? How do I need to innovate products and services to have the strongest appeal with my ideal client? Evidence-based marketing will enable you to have this type of information that will enable you to make better, smarter business decisions. Secondly, to be evidence based, it also means that you need to be market sensitive. Now, it is one thing to know what the market needs, it is quite another to adopt the culture of the organization to reflect those needs. Now, when you're market sensitive, it means that you take the time to really understand your market and you now build out your MVO, minimum viable offer, most viable offer, or your maximum viable offer to reach the expectations of that market. Now, the last part is what we call being market responsive. So, market responsive, it means that you are now taking actions to ensure that you're responding to what the data is saying. So, you're oriented, you have the information, you're sensitive, you know what you need to do to innovate, and you're responsive. You're going to market with these critical needs. Now, what we are seeing is that many rising stars in business, you simply get into business and it happens to be an emotional decision. It's not a data driven decision. So, if you want to be successful in business, we are saying to you, one of the things that you need to overcome, one of the challenges you need to rise and overcome is what we call the evidence based marketing. I'll talk briefly again about what I call evidence based leadership. Evidence based leadership in this context is largely about you having the ability to think ahead, the ability to see beyond problems, the ability to take informed action to achieve desired results. Now, what exactly do I mean by the term the ability to think ahead? As a rising star in business, you want to be thinking ahead about everything. What are your human resource needs? What are the technical resource needs? What are the capital resource needs? In my experience, I'm seeing many rising stars in business. You start the business without taking the time to understand who are the essential human resources to move the vision further. Who are the essential technical, what are the essential technical resources to move that vision further? And what is the essential capital resources to move the vision forward? Now, in the absence of this, it means that you're not using data. You're using what we call speculative analysis. You're not even using what we call secondary data. All the secondary data exist on two spectrums. You have updated and outdated. You want to put yourself in that position to at least use secondary data that is reliable. So, to be evidence based in your leadership, you need to also have data. The last concept I'm going to talk about here, and I trust in that businesses, rising star in business, you're taking some notes here because this is research based that we are talking about. We talk about evidence based management. Now, what exactly is evidence based management? I'm going to put some more emphasis on some of the things I said earlier. You need to ensure that you have the ability to manage human, technical, and capital resources. Now, this is a deep subject matter, and I would not go deep into that at this particular time. But human resources is a very dynamic issue. In our platform, we talk about blanket workplace self-actualization. Perhaps this is could be a very unique approach that you are using to ensure that you have highly motivated workforce. Today, although one of the greatest minds behind human resource, which is Abraham Maslow, the father of humanistic psychologists, has introduced a number of tremendous concepts in terms of human self-actualization. Today, we are seeing many organizations they haven't even scratched the surface in terms of internalizing and applying some of the great concepts that he has introduced. So to manage human resources, it means that perhaps you need to understand this. Then we talk about technical resources and capital resources. Well, if you have listened to me before, you would have been quite familiar that when I'm talking about capital resources, we talk about capital from four different standpoints. It's about you understanding financial portfolios. It's about you understanding how to access capital portfolios. It's about you understanding how to leverage and how to mitigate. So this is the ecosystem that we talk about. As a rising star in business, if you do not know this and you do not have the kind of support on your side to help you navigate this, by default, your business is going to have some challenges. Our objective here is to provide you with enough information so as to ensure that you're able to quickly overcome those pitfalls and position your business, your brands, your idea to achieve your business strategic objective. The next concept on the evidence based management is where we talk about the ability to manage future expectations. And what are future expectations? When you develop your business strategic plan, that is all about your future expectations. When you develop your project plan, it's all about your future expectations. But are you in that position of strength to manage again human, technical, and capital resources towards achieving expected results, future expectations? So they are essential body of knowledge that we will go into as time progresses to ensure that rising stars, you don't have to go through the challenges that you're going through, largely because you're not data driven. We, and I mean Peter and Paul and myself and our entire institution, we do think based on data. Because when you have data, you're able to avoid pitfalls and you're now able to significantly optimize your pathway to success. And that's why we are hosting these programs to ensure that you get the kind of information that you deserve to have to grow and scale your business, not only locally, not only regionally, but also internationally. And we are here to give you that kind of institutional support to achieve the objective. The last concept I will talk about here is the ability to keep and manage your gain and your growth. You want to put yourself in that position of strength because we see that very often you attain success, but do you have a sustainability game plan? Do you have a growth game plan and an expansion game plan? And if you don't have this, sometimes you attain some things and then you lose it all. And that's something that we talk a lot about on this platform as we talk about evidence base and data, is to ensure that from the get go, you're prepared. Now, if all of these things that I've talked about, if in your business startup or scale up phase, you have not gone through this type of brainstorming, it may mean that you're not evidence based. It may still mean that you're using a lot of emotion in the business development process. And that's something that you want to ensure that you get past very quickly. Now, in the absence of you knowing this, you at least owe it to yourself to ensure that you can attract subject matter expert on your side that can help you gain this body of knowledge and apply this body of knowledge to ensure that your business is positioned to attain that level of success. So I know that's a long introduction, but I just wanted to point out some of the weaknesses and strengths that we are seeing. And I believe it can play a significant role to help business. Businesses need to be evidence based and step away from speculation, step away from the emotion. So, with that being said, I will now ask Peter Scott to introduce himself and his topic. And I know that he's going to be talking a lot about mindset. He's going to be talking a lot about personal corporate life master plan. And then I'll come over to Paul, who will then talk to us about financial access and some of the challenges he sees businesses are faced with. And he will also table some of his solution for businesses. Peter, all to you.
Again, Gary, thank you so much. Paul, thank you so much for this platform that we have to impact the community, especially we're in a world in which things are moving so fast, where the common individual who's coming out with his or her idea, can be overwhelmed by all the changes and the challenges that they have to adapt to. So having this kind of discussion to support that individual that has an idea that wants to move forward, not knowing what to do, but just having something, a passion within their spirit, something that they know they have to do. But instead of just going out there jumping and just trying to figure it out by themselves, they can come to this platform and learn as they go, which will minimize their rate of failure or having to learn the hard way. So this is a beautiful operation that we have here. Just to look at the topic of startups, business startup challenges, what I'd like to empower the audience with as they are seeking to do a business startup. There is a structure. There is a structure for a business startup. And earlier on, when I started out, I had to just do the research. And Gary, just a while ago, you spoke about so much about evidence-based data, and that is paramount. You can't. It's no sense of just having an idea and just jumping. You don't want to be a mad scientist. And when I say a mad scientist is just those individuals who just have um, a concept and they think that this concept, wow, this is going to change and revolutionize the world. And they go and they build, they gather, begin to, get their friends and their families to lend them money or to go mortgage their homes or whatever it is that they want to do to raise capital just to make their gadgets. And then they take their gadgets to the marketplace only to find out that the only person that really were inspired is when they were in their secret place, because they present something by volume to the marketplace that the market does not need. So the evidence, and this is what the evidence base is very important. So the startup structure, we want to empower community to understand that developing a startup, there is a structure to it. So imagine a triangle, all right? Imagine a triangle or a pyramid rather. Imagine a pyramid in which, well, yes, at the top, you're going to have leadership, all right? At the top, you have leadership. And then to the next lineup would be research and development. Then you have marketing. Then you have sales. Then you have management. Then you have distribution. Then you have customer service and customer retention. That's in essence is a startup structure. All right, let me just go over it again. It starts with leadership. Then you're going to have research and development. Then you're going to have marketing, sales, management, distribution, customer service, and customer retention. That's the basic structure. As you grow, as a business grow, all of this is going to change. But that's a basic platform by which a person with a great idea, because everything is going to start with leadership first of all. It starts with that passion to enter the marketplace. It starts with you seeing a solution in the marketplace, some gap in the marketplace that is needed. You recognize that all the challenges and all the problems in your network or in your world, why don't somebody fix that? That thing that caused you to be angry when you think about it, it just it nauseates you. It's like something crawling on your, on you. It just give you that passion that something needs to be done about that. That's a sense of leadership where you feel that um somebody need to do something about this. And my story behind this is that several years ago I kept complaining about what was happening in my world. And I thought to myself over a period of time, I constantly being, talking about it and being disgruntled about it until one day, in my prayer time, the Holy Spirit says, okay, Peter, I hear you and understand how you feel about all this, but why are you complaining about other people not doing something about it? Why don't you do something about it? And I had to pause there for a very good 30 seconds. And it just dawned on me that the reason why I am so impassionate about this situation, because it is my problem to solve. So that's the birthing of leadership, when we can look at our world, look at at our environment, and recognize there is a gap in the marketplace, that our skill sets, our abilities, our talents, is fitted to do this thing. But you don't just want to jump out there and start to, build, and start to, create, and start to engage the market. As Gary mentioned a while ago, you need data. You need data, and that is where now research and development comes in. So now you have to go test the market. You got to go see if the market will support your big idea, if the market feels the same way about the gadget or the product or the service that you think is highly needed. So when you've done enough research and development, and you have gathered the data, and you have done your test, you develop one prototype. Just take one prototype. Don't build a million of the thing. Just just create a prototype, even if it is a service. Create the outlines of what that service is. Talk to people. Find out from those who are around you, what do you think about this? Is this something, is this idea, is this service something that would actually be of benefit to you? Test everybody, talk to as many persons. And what I've heard one of my mentors says, talk to at least 100 people. 100 people in kind, 100 people in kind. Talk to people and find out if this is something. Research persons, do research on other individuals who have done similar service, who has similar service in the market. See how they're doing. Do not enter the market with something that is fresh and brand new, and you are the only person who have ever thought about this. Chances are the reason why you're the only person who have thought about it is because you are the only person who have thought about it. And then guess what? Nobody else wanted. So research and development is highly important. Now, after you realize that the market is this is something that the market does need, then you can go now into marketing. And marketing now has to do with, now, so who are the people you're going to serve? There is a need in the community, but you can't serve everybody. So who are the persons that you can target, who you know that this group, they understand the language, you understand their language. And when you begin to communicate the value of your product or your service, you can communicate that value with words that this particular group of individuals will understand clearly, and they will adapt to what they want in their life. So, for instance, what I'm saying is that for us, we do publishing, but publishing is a very saturated market. But then we discover that what we need to target, I look at, and it is Joe Polish. It is Joe Polish I got this concept from in my period of research. Joe Polish he was a cleaner. He had a cleaning company. And when he was testing the marketplace, he wanted to expand. He began to realize that a lot of things that he knew, he could just target what he knew, not to the general public, but to other persons who were into the cleaning business. So he became a consultant to other cleaners, and that gave him his market. And it is out of that I realized my background is in ministry. My background is where pastors and ministry leaders are concerned, but not just pastors and ministry leaders, but pastors and ministry leaders who are entrepreneurial, pastors and ministry leaders who have a desire to transcribe or to transform their services into a business. And so I begin to target that area by marketing, finding a blue ocean. Yes, finding my blue ocean within the red ocean. And we can always, if we dig deep enough, we will always find an area of the market that is underserved, where you are equal, you are designed, you were born to take on the challenges in that area. So after you've done your marketing and the marketing works, you find your people, you have a product and service, then you now can begin to sell. Now you can begin to mass produce because you find out that your gadget, your idea, your product or your services, it is worthwhile. There's a large enough group of individuals that you can serve with that product or service. Now you can start to test it with your sales. And once the sales is being done and the sales, you are the only one now operating, you can manage that, want that operation, you and perhaps you're bringing your friends and family or your wife and your immediate circle, and you are utilizing your skill sets and those around you to take that to the market. As you grow, you're going to realize that after a while you're going to need more than just your own hands. So it's not going to take you into management, because now you're going to need a team to ensure that the marketing and the sales, and you have to always continue to do research and development. There is going to need now a team to help you with that process. So now you can delegate to that team, your management team. Now, as you are continue to grow, then you now have to have a distribution structure, a distribution channel, whereby your product, your service, your gadget, as it moves from you to your clients, there is this seamless approach, there's this seamless transition, so that people are satisfied. They order it today, it shouldn't come 10 weeks away. There is should be this way by which it moves from you to the individuals, that you are keeping your promises that you made to them with that gadget. And then as you are distributing, you want to also now move to the other area where you know that people are satisfied. Customer service. So the follow-ups has to be there. You have to connect with your customer. You got to hear them out. You have to have that person who's going to call to follow up. How do you feel about the product? You got to treat them like they are the best, because as Paul said a while ago, if you can give somebody something for $100 and they give you $20, you want to make sure that you're always giving them greater than what you are taking from them. So they are extremely satisfied. Wow, I gave him just $20 and look at what he has given me. You keep them satisfied. And then the next portion now is retention. Once you treat them well, you want to keep them always coming back. And then now, once you have that dynamism rolling, then you now can say you're moving away from being a startup. You have a business. There's a system working for you that is impacting the community, impacting your life, and everybody is satisfied. Now, that is that take process. It takes process. You need to have individuals who are watchful. So all of that which I said is going to fall down. I want you now to turn that pyramid. You have to turn all of that now upside down. So the leader is not at the top. The leader is actually at the bottom. So he's the one who has to take responsibility. You, as the visioneer, you have to take responsibility for everything. You have to realize, for this thing to be successful, you got to watch your research and development. You got to watch your marketing. You got to watch your sales. You got to watch the management. You got to watch the distribution. You got to watch the customer service. You got to find a system that is watched, what that is being very very attentive to all the areas. And the leader, strong leaders, they do understand. The first thing with the leaders understand that I can't do this by myself. Your vision, and so vision is key, because now you realize that you are seeing far beyond just today, and you're gonna realize that this is not something that you can do by yourself. So at every level, you're always attracting highly skilled individual. You're always seeking to connect with persons who are a little bit brighter than you on that subject matter, who can tell you where the dark areas are, the areas that you need to get greater understanding about. Leadership, leadership, leadership. I can't stress it over. Leadership, not management, leadership. Leadership will get you there. So how do we tap into leadership now? How do we strengthen leadership? Leadership is strengthened when we can have, as we say, a mindset. It's very important that it starts out with a mindset, and that mindset, how do you see yourself? You know, you have this inspiration, we have this desire to be a solution. The first person that we have to work on is ourselves. How do I see myself in carrying out this thing? And then often, if you're a true leader, it's having a vision, what you're going to come to realize is that the vision that you're seeing, you're not equipped to really do it. If it's a true vision, you are going to realize that, yay, I'm biting off too much. And so, what is going to now require that I have to grow? I have to improve me. I've got to expand who I am. I got to now go into all kinds of training. First of all, I got to learn how to communicate. So by seeing the thing, you must now be able to communicate, to speak the thing, to say the thing in such a way by which others will be able to understand with clarity what you are trying to accomplish. So leadership, 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 mindset, a mindset. Because guess what? You're gonna find it's one thing to come up with a big idea, and it looks like, yes, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and you go out there, but what you don't see is all the humbugs. What you don't see is all the challenges, and people coming out in the woodwork to tell you that, you shouldn't bother to do that. All kinds of things begin to rise the minute you step out. Is as if the world sometimes turns against you. Now, if you do not have a strong mindset, you will give up. You will start and you will never make it to the next stage. It will crush you. But when you have that mindset, and everything as a leader is about mindset, because guess what? It's how you actually see the thing. It's not really the thing, it's how you see the thing. Because a leader is always gonna devise a solution. The issue about as a leader is that he or she, they are solution oriented. So yes, I see what you're saying, but perhaps if I try this way, perhaps if we do it this way. So you're always looking for that solution where you are going to overcome those obstacles to move the effort all, because guess what I do realize is that the solution that we're presenting to the marketplace, a lot of times the problem has to correct itself because we don't see the whole picture. So it is making those small changes, though it may just be a small thing, those small changes over time. You just iterate little by little. You meet a challenge, you iterate it, you just add that thing to it. And when what you look back where you started and what you the end result is, it's sometimes a total different, the message, everything about it change, because it is really adapting to the need in the marketplace, and it becomes effective. Steve Jobs started out with just, he will hold up this gadget and he says, 1,000 songs in your pocket. It was an iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. But now he has the iPhone, and everything that is in that iPod, that iPhone now becomes that solution where everything, your entire life, everything can be fit on a phone. And now he has become the category king because he knew how to manage and lead and to have the correct mindset. So, lastly, what I want to just throw in here, leadership has to do with restructuring. And the first person that you have to restructure, you have to talk about, you have to look on um, purpose. As a leader, as a person who is presenting something to the marketplace, you can't just see short term in terms of, okay, what is happening next year and what is happening, 2 years down the road. The greatest shift that you need to make is to look at my life at this juncture where we are right now. There are three questions that we can ask, and the three question is, where am I coming from? Check your backstory. What caused you to see the issue for what it is now? Where are you coming from? That cause, it's like Superman, right? What makes Superman Superman is because of where he's coming from. All the superheroes, my favorite is Iron Man. The man was trapped in some desert, in some deep place, and he knew that he had to get out. And to save his own life, he had to build something to get him out of there. And there, the superhero of saving himself was birthed. And by solving that crisis, he realized that a whole lot of other people need to be saved as well. And Iron Man was born. So you have to look back at where you're coming from, the challenges that you've been through, especially the defeats, because a lot of people, they don't want to, look, they think that their defeats in life is not important. But what you do realize, like I say, Iron Man was a victim of his own gadget. The same thing that he was bringing to the marketplace, somebody shot him with it, almost took his life. And so your defeat can be it can be that thing that really give you your greatest victory. So what brought you to be where you are today? And then you can look around you to see, okay, life is what it is. Now this is what I have. I can't blame my mama. You can't blame the government. You can't blame the politician. You can't blame circumstances and situation. It is your plate. And if you blame anybody else, it's not going to change. As a matter of fact, it will make things worse because now you become a victim. So if you want to change, we got to take full responsibility. Leadership again takes full responsibility because I don't like where I am now. How can I move from where I am to where I really want to go? So how do we look at where we're coming from, where we are, and where we're going? Master planning. Master planning is so essential. You got to have that big vision of yourself. You got to a shift. I got to create a big picture of my life, a master plan that is going to take all the notes from where I'm coming from. I'm going to really take a broad lens view and take all, and Gary mentioned data. You got to have data. You got to write it down. You got to put it together so that you can re-examine and look at it. So data-driven leadership, data-driven management, data-driven, you need the data because it is the data that is going to help you to make the right decisions. So the master plan, then when you have the master plan, then you got to take it to the family. You got to build that with your family. You got to build that with your community. And you got to build a corporate structure to manage all of that. Then you are now in that place to really move forward. So I trust that that little bit can give you some insights and that you can really, with your startup, really begin to captivate your marketplace, and you can become that person that is impacting your community. Thank you, Gary.
Wow. Paul Whitehouse, I must say, PT is on fire today, man. PT is on
Wow.
fire.
Oh my gosh. Iron Man, man. I wrote all that stuff down. Wow. I get to say I know that guy. The people.
Yeah, that was
Woo.
a whole lot to digest. That was a masterclass, and I really trust that the viewing public is really getting value from today's program, the High Net Worth Investors Guide. Our focus is really to provide you with, these essential content of information. Of course, this is only coming to you in the brief, but of course, you can always reach out to us, and book that session with us so we can go much deeper into these concepts with you and help you to adopt it as a part of your corporate culture. That was definitely a good presentation, Peter, and keep up the good work. Paul White, White House, White House. I know you have spent, you have a rich history. You serve in the police force in the United States of America. Um, you, in working with you, I recognize that you are humanitarian by nature, and I really, really love that side of you. I also recognize that you have tremendous experience in the world of business and in the world of finance. I know you have done investment into real estate portfolios, and today I know that you played a tremendous role in terms of helping rising stars in business access capital for real estate investment, access capital for their transportation and trucking industry, accessing capital for a wide range of different business area. Um, with that rich experience, I mean, how do you see the topic itself, business startup challenges, and the issue of access to capital? I would really love to have your take on today's topic. All to you, my friend.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for the nice words. And I just want to start by saying, so happy to count you guys as friends. And I don't know that I can follow up. First, it was Gary set the bar, and then Peter comes in hot and lays that down. Wow, I'm motivated, and I don't even know what to say to. Every word was valuable. Every single word that you guys spoke, there wasn't a word, maybe and or the, maybe those words. Every other word was so powerful, and everything that everybody needs to know. I mean, if you simply studied what you guys just spoke, those are the keys right there.
Mhm.
Evidence-based info. You can't go into something blind. You
Yeah.
just can't. And you have to have a master plan. There is no, there's no winging it.
Yeah.
If you want success, you can't wing something. You just can't. So thank you both. I'm happy to count you both as friends. As far as the access to capital, I know the subject inside and out, but I put some notes for myself because I don't want to miss one thing. As far as financing for businesses, startups specifically, now an existing business, more than 3 years in business, profitable, making money, the ability to repay new debt, um, good to excellent personal credit, those are easy businesses to finance. I mean, that's a walk in the park. A startup, whole different thing. And there's a couple different levels. There's levels to this stuff. One type of a startup is brand new industry, unproven, um, and you're starting from ground zero. Here's an example of that. What I have in my background is an 12-ton industrial hemp fiber processing factory. Along with my capital raise partners, I am essentially a VC scout for them. For Patriot Business Finance Consultants, that's our business, equipment financing, real estate financing, factoring, purchase order financing, that's us. But when we do, and this is an important term, Securities and Exchange Commission compliant, you have to be compliant with the SEC, capital raises. I'm a scout for two well-experienced investment bankers. And these guys are wonderful. I met them 3.5 years ago, and they've changed my life. Okay, so what I've learned from them is there's levels to these startups. The type of startup that I'm talking about, an industrial hemp fiber processing facility, that's a lot. That's a lot. You have to create the golden package. The golden package, which is your supply chain is built, locked down, solid. Your offtake. 3 years ago, you could sell to the market. They were a lot more generous. It's tightened up a lot. In the situation with these fiber factories, you have to sell with binding letters of intent contracts your entire first year's offtake to get financing on these types of things. That's one level. Brand new industry. There's only 20 processors in America. You're developing the market. That's going into the Amazon where nobody's been before. That's that type of thing. Other levels of startups would be You are an existing business. You've been around for 6 months or a year. You're still considered a startup. You're making sales. That's called traction, but you need growth capital. That's easier to get financed for. That's a level up. That's easier. Then we can talk about a wide range of things. What is a startup? Okay, you want to buy a hot dog stand and throw it on a beach and make $3,000 a day because that people are doing it. All right, that's a startup. You need to buy the hot dog stand. You need to buy $1,000 worth of inventory, and if you don't have that, where do you go get it? There's a lot of creative ways to do it. We were talking about that earlier. I love the subject, guerrilla warfare. Okay, you have difficult credit. You can't go to the bank. They're going to tell you no. They won't even open the door for you, right? So how do you get that accomplished? I can help, but the way I can help and the lenders that we represent, since it's a startup and there's difficult credit, here's the bottom line facts on that. It's going to take money down. If you're going to finance equipment as a startup with difficult credit, that's 30% money down. The good news is you don't have to come up with the other 70%, but you still got that hurdle of coming up with the 30%. And if you got it, great. If you don't, well, then that's a hurdle. How do you overcome that hurdle? You overcome it with guerrilla warfare. You find a way when you have nothing. And we talked about that earlier before we started recording, and I love that subject. You go to a friend, you ask to borrow it. People will let you do it. If you ask, you'll get. And if the first person says no, keep on asking. Find people who are capable of doing it, and somebody will say yes. If you might ask 10 times or 20 times. I bought a pizza shop when I was younger. I didn't have the credit and I didn't have the down payment to do an SBA loan. I went to the seller and I asked him if I could give him $1,000 down, and he allowed me to come in. The deal was make payments for 3 years. And so you ask and you will get.
Mhm.
You just got to make the right offer. Okay. Other levels of startup, moving up from the hot dog stand, you got a pizza shop. That's typically going to be, well, you can ask for owner financing, but an SBA loan, that's another level of a startup. You're going to need money down for that. Matter of fact, all startups will require money down. That's just the world. There's no way around it. That's the lender's perspective. They need you to have skin in the game. Okay. Moving up to other startups, large industrial factories, kind of like what I talked about. Those can be financed through debt and equity. If you don't know how to get that debt and equity structured, especially not structured in the best way that's most advantageous for you, what you do is you hire the high network investors guide, boom, connections, hiring a capital raise group to do the work for you. Here's the best way I can really underscore that. You're not going to perform surgery on yourself or your family member because you don't know how to do it, and it's important. You can't screw up. You just can't. You can't make that mistake. Well, it's the same thing in business. If you're trying to raise, you like that one, Gary? I see you smiling.
No, that's good. You're trying to be a dentist and a surgeon on yourself. You want to hurt yourself there, man. No way, no
Yeah.
way.
And you'll hurt yourself in business if you're trying to get something accomplished that you're not an expert in.
Right.
Why you hire consultants, experts, and mentors. Okay. Um, yeah, you're building a factory. You need to hire a capital raise group who's done it before, who's built businesses, and they know how to be creative and make things happen. I got so many stories on how the impossible look what looked to be impossible became possible with just a small modification.
Hmm.
And you get that from people with experience like you guys. Okay. Elements of a business. What do you need? You need equipment. Every business needs equipment, maybe except mine. I'm a consultant. I need a computer and a pen and a paper. But I'm going to say 99.9% of other businesses need equipment. And you might need real estate. That's possible. Maybe you don't. You could lease the property. Operating expenses. You need cash to operate on. If you're a startup, and it's day one, and you are, let's say you're a manufacturer. Okay, you manufacture it, you ship it. Guess what? You're waiting 30 days for payment because you're sending them an invoice. You might wait 45 days because not everybody pays on time. You
Mhm.
need operating expenses to plow through the initial stages until you start getting reoccurring cash flow. That's enough to pay your debt and pay everything and keep everything going. You need cash reserves for sure. I mean, anything can happen. So cash reserves are important. If you have a business without cash reserves, find a way to increase sales to get those cash reserves. You need it. You're going to need it. Working capital. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. You can be a traditional businesses. SBA loans are a great way to finance those. Restaurants, you're buying a construction company. SBA loans are the way to finance those types of more traditional business. Pizza shops, construction companies, uh, retail, retail. That's where SBA loans come in. Okay, that's the program. That's the products you would use for that type. Each type of business requires a different approach. An SBA loan will not work to build an industrial hemp fiber factory. It really won't work to build a factory. You can build a machine shop, CNC, you build a machine shop with an SBA loan, but you're not going to build up a uh, Apple, like you said earlier, Peter. That wasn't going to be financed through an SBA loan. There were no assets. There was nothing except an idea. So it took some investment money to make that happen. It took somebody to see that vision, the vision that the founder put together and created. He had to relay that information to somebody else effectively so they understood it and saw it. He was being a leader. I love, man, Pete, I'm still, Peter, I'm still stuck on that speech you just made. But leadership, you need to be able to step forward, articulate to the right people what you're doing, how you want to do it. You need to be receptive to what they're saying because they're the experts. Founders of companies are expert in what they do, but typically they're not experts in finance. Finance is a mystery. Seek out an expert. I'm humble. I don't like to call myself an expert, but I think I'm pretty good at it. Gary, you're an expert. Peter, you're an expert in life master planning. The master plan, all of this ties in together so well. It's all one ball right there. It all has to be compacted and used. It's there. And it all has to be deployed at the same time. I think that's all I've got, gentlemen. Well, let me add one more thing. Methods to finance businesses. SBA loans. You can self-finance it. You can get a partnership. You can do a capital raise. Securities and Exchange Commission compliant capital raise. Don't take money from your mother's brother's best friend's uncle's cousin. It doesn't happen. You don't write things on a napkin. That's in the movies. You have to be compliant. There's a way to do it. And if you don't do it that way, then you're opening yourself up for civil and criminal uh, situations right there with the Securities and Exchange Commission. There's a way to do it. Get guides, get mentors, have a master plan, and surround yourself with good people. That's all I got.
That was definitely powerful. What I like about Paul's presentation, he started with some aspect of the lowest hanging fruit in terms of capital, and then he went all the way up to bigger businesses and what they can do to position themselves to access capital in terms of overcoming those challenges. And I want to say this, talking about these issues, they are so important because every day we interface with businesses that have been in operation for 4 or 5 years, some even 10 years, but they do not know exactly the best approach to use to access capital or the best financial instrument to use based on the stage that they're at in their business. And again, what we do as we start to interface with them is to help them to figure those things out and to sort things out so they're able to make better, smarter business decision, better, smarter access to capital decision, and so they can grow their operation. So, Paul, I really love what you would have talked about there. You mentioned the SBA. I think that every rising star in business should be a part of the SBA. I think they are perhaps one of the largest business database that we have today. I think the last that I checked, they had over 15 million businesses on their portal. And they are very, very instrumental in terms of providing a comprehensive range of support to businesses. But I must say this, to be in previous broadcasts, we talked about fundability. And even the SBA, for you to start to get funding, you have to be fundable. And an essential part of being fundable from the SBA standpoint, you have to have historical uh, records. They're going to look at your financial to at least see you have been in operation for the last 2 years. The business has been generating this, a surplus or a deficit, but you must have that database. All right. Record keeping in this case is very, very important. And before you can start to access different financial portfolio. As we get deeper into these kind of conversation, we will also help you to understand that every financial institution may have different pre-qualification criterias before you access their platforms. And it's important for you to know those pre-qualification criteria. And that's why we are here. All right. Everything we may not discuss on this platform, but I want to encourage you if you have a business and you have a challenge, whether your challenge is to identify your market and your market size, whether your challenge is to, nurture critical human resources to move your vision forward, or if your challenge is to access capital, I want to encourage you to reach out to us. All right. The High Net Worth Investors Guide. This program again is represented by multiple companies, including Global Capital Inc., 10X B&M LLC, and Pitch Deck 101 out of New York. Our expert will be so happy, so excited to provide you that support. And I want to emphasize this. This platform is not just about information sharing. This platform is largely about ensuring that we can give you the information so you know us, you like us, you trust us. But when it comes to taking practical steps to access capital, I want to give you the assurance that we have done this multiple times and we are here to give you that kind of support. So I don't want you to be with a great vision, but you're struggling to access capital. And as Paul would have said, as Peter would have said, you're not knocking at the doors, you're not asking for help and support. We are here to give you that support. All right. You might want information to really understand your market, as we talked about data early on. It is so important. Reach out to us. We have the expertise. I'm here to give you that support. Now, one more thing I want to say before I open up the conversation for us persons to give their views, I want to talk about the bestseller portal. The bestseller portal is like the new kid on the block. Work is being done at the moment to attract between 5 to 10 million persons to this portal. Now, there are several reasons behind this. One, it enabled us to take an individual to bestseller within the shortest possible time. But beyond this, it also enabled us to give you, the rising star in business, greater access to your target market because the portal in itself, when the portal first started, the key focus was everything business. All right. So if it's about business and human resource, business and customer care, business and marketing, business and access to capital, the portal was built out to satisfy this objective. Today, we have grown beyond this. Why? Because we want to increase our market share, increase our audience base to ensure that we can leverage this platform to give you that support. So I want to encourage you to go to the bestsellerportal.org and navigate the website. You will see members. I want to encourage you to become a member today. Why? Because in becoming a member, you will be the first to know when we are publishing a new author. You will also be benefiting from some of the fully sponsored executive training programs that we are offering. All right. You will also get in contact with Paul. You will also get in contact with Peter, myself, and other subject matter experts that are there to mentor you, to coach you, and to give you a comprehensive range of support to achieve your business objective. And that's some of the core reasons why we are here. It's not only for the information, it's to give you that support. And again, it's not enough for you to have the information because sometimes when you have the information, but you're not using the information, you're not applying data, it becomes futile.
Mhm.
Now that you have the information, I want to encourage you to take action to achieve the desired results. And thanks, Paul, for putting up. We will very shortly. I will put up the website for the portal. But in the meanwhile, I want to give Paul and I want to give Peter a chance to just chime in on general issues in relation to business, mindset, leadership. The floor is now open to you guys.
Yeah, what I wanted to just to go back to a couple of or one or two of the points that Paul raised concerning finance, and that is critically so important for individuals who are have a desire to present their solution to the marketplace. And a lot of time people enter into the marketplace, it's like jumping into the pool without first checking how deep the pool is. And so it might be they jump in and it is the short end of the pool and they get hurt. So it's always important to understand how finance work. If you're going to do business, if we're going to do business, we have to understand how money works. It's essential. And I think startups, individuals who are founders of companies, they are passionate about what they do, and they are so much enthused and inspired to take their solution to the world, and they jump out there taking their solution to the world only to realize, hey, wow, this is not what I thought it to be, and then they have much more challenges than that was necessary. So getting an understanding of the various levels of financing, and understand, as you mentioned, Gary, fundability, because a lot of this, we realize that the solutions are there. The solutions are there. We just have to understand. And, going back to my favorite topic, when you do the master plan, do master planning, then, those questions will be asked. We're going to seek, beforehand, we're going to understand, okay, what are the conditions that I'm going to have going out there. What is it going to cost? Yeah, that's what is it going to cost entering into the marketplace. What is it going
The
to cost?
cost of doing business.
Yes. And how am I, so I'm here, and I, as Paul was saying, okay, my credit is jacked up, um whatever those conditions, but that is not a deterrent. As Paul is saying, that is not a deterrent, because there are individuals out there, when we begin now, and as he said, that when we begin to get one mentorship and seeking counsel, when we're now, seek that person who have the understanding, then we discover that, it is not as challenging as it seemed to be when we begin to ask the right questions. So, understanding that there are various levels, to what it is that we're entering the marketplace with, and there's always a solution. That was, I appreciate that, because and this is why master planning is so important to me, because when I started out, I just jumped into the water. If I learned and tried to figure it out, and it could have been the process could have been much shorter if I had, somebody like a Gary or somebody like a Paul to help me to see through those challenges long before they ever surfaced. So, that is highly, I find that very interesting and very informative, concerning financing and knowing the cost to do business as we, venture out into business.
Very much agreed with everything you said, as I always do. Um, Cost of doing business, there's always a solution. And sometimes that solution isn't what you want to hear.
Mm.
Nobody wants to hear that a startup business, to get the equipment that they want, it's 30% down. Nobody
Mm.
wants to hear it, but it's the truth. And the good news is, at least you don't have to come up with all the money. You're trying to buy a $500,000 piece of equipment. Yeah, you got to come up with 150,000. There's a way to do that. We can dive into that. That's the guerrilla warfare part of it. Find a partner. There are solutions. There are solutions to everything. I'd like to give you guys a real life example of having a guide. And we've said this one before, I think on the first episode. I like saying weird things, you guys, so just bear with me. You don't go grizzly bear hunting without a guide. You don't do it. Nobody, the experts don't do that. They don't go there by themselves. And if you're a beginner, you definitely don't do it, right? Okay, so here's a real life example of I I'll just say it. Okay, spoke with the client. She went to her bank, and the bank was trying to get her a $150,000 line of credit. This is a startup business. That banker should have known that 30 seconds into the conversation and advised her of that. Lines of credit come after you've got at least 2 years. They really would prefer 3 years of historical financial documentation, what you're making. You're not going to get a $150,000 line of credit unless you have a 1.25 debt coverage, which means if you have zero debt, you have to be bringing in $225,000 worth of revenue to get a $150,000 line of credit. And then if you've got debt obligations, that 225 just keeps going up depending on what your monthly payment is. There's math involved in these things, and math never lies. So that banker should have known that. She was disappointed when she got the news that I can't get this. That's the first part. The second part, and I'm not going to say it was shocking to me because I've heard it before, but she was going to use the line of credit to buy equipment. There are specific programs for specific things that you need. A line of credit should be used for opportunities and emergencies, not to buy equipment. That's why you have equipment leasing. Equipment financing, generally speaking, you can get an asset based loan from a lender and finance your equipment. But equipment leasing is that's the best way to get ownership of equipment for a business. The biggest companies in the world don't pay cash. They don't even use bank financing. They do use it in certain circumstances, but if they're trying to own Coca-Cola, when they want equipment, they lease it and then they own it at the end of the lease. So having a guide that knows these things, and I mean, it's not shocking that the banker didn't raise these things right away in the first 5 minutes, but there's specific programs that you use for specifically what you're trying to get accomplished. And that's what somebody who has the experience and the information and is willing to share it with you, um, that's why they're valuable.
That's a great share, Paul. And I'm going to make a few more shares and then we're going to get ready to wrap the things up. I started off today's program by talking about data. But just before I get back to data, Paul, that was a very, very solid information. Um, as an expert in your field, you are equipped with enough information to predetermine whether a business is going to succeed or a
Yes.
business is going to fail. And sometimes, you hear some things that is very baffling. You don't release that type of money when the indicators are there that that business is likely to go under. All right, because the historical data has not been established, um, clear master planning has not been done, and based on those facts, you can come to that position of strength to make certain predeterminants whether that business will succeed and fail. Now, what I will do, I will go through some of the things that we call stress testing. Because if you're going to start a business, we always talk about stress testing. And one of the things that we talk about stress testing is your MVO, your minimum viable offer. Is it relevant to the market? Now, how can you know if your value proposition is relevant? Again, you can't know this until you have data. So if you're coming to us as financial expert, as business expert, and you're going to say to us that this is our value offer, we want the data to show that your offer is relevant to the target market. We don't want speculation because from the time you start speculating, it tells us that you don't really understand who's your ideal client, the size of your market. So if you don't know the size of your market, you cannot predetermine the potential of that market to cash flow. You don't understand the element of competition, so you don't understand your niche and how to integrate. As an expert, we are able to analyze all of this by asking certain key questions. So in working with us, we are able to help you to navigate those pitfalls. The next thing that you want to stress test, and I give you a hint just now, is how viable your market is. There are many persons that want to start a business, and if starting that business is an emotional decision, it means that you don't have any data on the market viability. Again, how do you put yourself in a position of strength to predetermine market viability? Again, you want to know who is your ideal client. You want to know how to access your ideal client. You want to know the size of your market. You want to know that you're able to reach an urgent and immediate need. So these are essential things that you want to stress test and before you even get that business started. Again, when you come to financial experts, because we are not just giving you access to capital, we understand the business ecosystem and we understand what it takes to be successful in business. So we're going to ask you the right question. When you don't respond in the way you should respond, it's going to cancel out your chance of attaining the level of success that you want in terms of capital raise, as Paul would have spoke so eloquently about that earlier on. In starting a business, one of the things that you want to focus on also, and I gave a hint early on, is urgency and immediacy. Is your value offer reaching an urgent and immediate need? Because the thing that happened, any investor that is going to be investing with you, they want to know that the business is so set to generate daily, weekly, monthly cash flow. Now, you may have a business, and that business in itself may not necessarily cash flow in that way. It may cash flow every 6 months. Is that what your investors want to look for? They may not have that risk tolerance, perhaps, and that's why we talk about type of investors. Because if you're taking debt financing and you're cash flowing every 6 months, it might be an agricultural business, so you're not growing crop every day. Perhaps debt financing is not the best instrument for you. Perhaps you might need to start looking for equity financing, or some other form of finance that more ties in to that, where the risk tolerance might be higher. These are essential, things that investors are looking at to make an objective decision in terms of whether to invest or not to invest in your business. The last concept that I want to talk about here is you want to know your market. and you want to know that your market is, they have the ability and the willingness to pay. Sometimes you identify a market that you think is your ideal client, but they're not buying from you. Why they are not buying from you? And there are many factors why they are not buying for you from you. First of all, you've been speculating that they're going to buy from you. If you're having this challenge, it means you've been speculating that they're going to buy from you. You need to move beyond speculation and bring yourself to that point where you have data that says they have the ability, based on demographic realities, and they have the willingness to invest based on my engagement with them. And perhaps I have guarantee buyers even before I start the project. And these are some of the ways in which you can stress test your value offer, your MVU, so as to ensure that you have a strong, workable, sustainable project. And Paul, one of the things that we didn't look at, businesses can raise funds even from through the market research phase, because from the market research phase, they may be able to interface with the ideal client. They may be able to make a pitch at the same time, and they may be able to get subscription to the platform, depending on what that project is. Or I've seen it happen all the time. So there are innovative ways to raise capital to move your business. Again, I want to encourage you to reach out to us, because if you are not ready for capital through the traditional means, we will also work with you and give you ideas and suggestions and perhaps even the support to help you to raise the capital through creative financial means for your business. The last note I want to leave on here, in starting a business, it makes a lot of sense as a rising star to focus on your MVO. And your MVO is what we call it has three branches. Your minimum viable offer means that you're going to market with perhaps the lowest hanging fruit. Your maximum viable offer, which means that you are targeting high net worth clients, or what we call the maximum. The maximum means that you're going to market with multiple value offer. And for many rising stars, that could be a debt trap. Why? Because you're going to market with multiple value offers. And to do this and to do it well, you have to have adequate human resources, adequate technical resources, and adequate capital resources. And in most cases, based on everything that we have talked about here today, as a rising star, you don't have access to adequate human, technical, and capital resources. So unless you're able to beat this gap, fill the gap, human resource, technical resource, and capital resource, you want to put tremendous emphasis on either your minimum viable offer or your most viable offer when you're going to the market. It's going to save you stress, and it's going to set the stage to literally accelerate your pace of growth. Because whatever human, technical, and capital resources you have, it will allow you to focus on the single MVO and help you to penetrate the market with greater ease. There's so much to talk about on this subject, but I'm going to pause here for now and ask my colleague to give their last comment and their wrap up thoughts on today's subject and matter. Who's going to go first? Peter, your closing remarks and wrap up? You're mute.
Yes, what we want to encourage our viewers, number one, um, come back here every Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because what I'm hearing, what the wealth of information that I'm receiving, even from Gary and Paul, if I had this exposure when I just started out, I would have been years ahead of where I am right now. because I went in like as we mentioned earlier as a doing this guerrilla warfare. I just going knowing that I had to do something. I had a passion for what I had to do, and I just jumped in and just decided I'm gonna figure it out. So I went to YouTube. I went to you know all these places in that.
YouTube University.
Yes, yes. And the
That's what they
craziest
call
thing,
it. All right.
what some of the training that I got, I was shocked because I remember I went to a class on
Yeah.
YouTube where it was a university class. The students were there learning, and these students spend thousands and thousands of dollars to be receiving this information. And here I was in the class learning it for free. But
Yeah. But
yeah,
I can assure you some of the informations are missing out. And I want to add just a little note on that, Peter. When they come to the bestseller portal,
right.
the bestseller portal is being built out to serve these very purpose. So somebody you can go to YouTube and you're going to get a lot of information. You can listen to us, you're going to get a lot of information. But I want to assure you that information will be packaged that you will not be able to get out there that you will be able to get from these exclusive platforms. So I like that share, Peter. Sorry to cut your trend of thoughts, but back
Not
to
a
you.
problem. It's dead on. It's dead on because it is true. Because information, and we go back to what you had mentioned, data. You cannot have too much data because data is going to prepare you, the preparation for what is to come. And when you are well informed in what you're doing, that it gives the best opportunity to succeed. Listening to what Paul, and I like you know understanding. I'm still going to go back to it. Understanding the cost of money. Understanding that there are various ways around each challenge, each financial challenge there is. Understand that um, like a while ago, Paul mentioned something a while ago that there are various instruments for various uh, items or situations in starting a business. So you Paul, you mentioned that the individual wanted to get a line of credit, and they were going to use the line of credit to buy equipment, where a better choice is to get leasing. So all of these things, individuals are passionate about, they want to do, and they get into trouble because they just did not know. They just did not know. So we invite individuals to come here, go to the bestsellerportal.org, and we're here to serve the community the best way we can. Learn from our pitfalls and um, uh, mistakes, so that you don't have to make those mistakes. Thank you, Gary.
Welcome, my friend. Paul, all to you.
Thank you, Gary. All right, touching on what you guys said, I do not have a master's degree, but I've received a master's degree in life and in business from my mentors. And that's you guys, and what we're doing here right now is a real life example of that. I can count 5 people, 2 right now that I've been working with for the last 3.5 years. I've learned so much from them. Angles, different approaches, creative ways. Everything, every most of everything is in a book. But then when you're not using the book and you're really doing it, then more things become apparent. And if we haven't experienced that for ourselves, the best experience, if it's not your own, is somebody else's experience. And that's what I'm gaining from you guys, and that's what everybody who views this these videos every Saturday at 2 o'clock. Make sure you're here, people. Come on, that's what they can get from this. I'm getting it right now. Um, 2 things on that same example I used earlier. Well, one thing on that one, I forgot to mention the pitfalls. Let's just say, and it wouldn't have happened anyway. It wouldn't have happened because you have to have time in business to get a line of credit. You don't get a line of credit on day one. It doesn't happen ever. It doesn't exist. So let's say it would have happened. Well, Here's a pitfall with a line of credit. You're subject to an annual bank review. And if things aren't going so well or sales, something happens, sales decline because of, let's just say they throw another disease on us, another COVID thing, right? They hit us with that one again. Well, if the sales dip and you get an annual and the annual review takes place and they cancel it and they call it in and you're supposed to repay everything that you put out. Well, if you spend it on the trucks, you don't, where are you going to come up? You can't sell the trucks because they depreciated in value. It doesn't work like that. So that is a pitfall that she could have fallen into. All right. And then solving problems. Gary, you mentioned earlier debt. Debt and equity might be better. Yeah. But if in agriculture, okay, equipment leasing, there's a program that we can put into place called step up payments. You're seasonal, you're a tourist location, right? Or your agriculture. Well, in the winter, your payments can be reduced much lower, even to zero. And then when you're in season, your payments are going to be higher instead of spreading them out over 12 months. So your payments will be higher for those 6 months of in season business, but you're going to be making so much money that you can afford it. So that's just one more creative angle that somebody who knows about that can suggest to you, let you know that it exists, and then you can make the decision to employ that program. There's so many small details that can be put into play. Um, can I give you just one more, and then I'll wrap it up? This was
Go
genius.
ahead.
Okay, my capital raise partners solving a problem. Okay, for these factories, you have to sell your entire first year's offtake in order to get financed. That's a hard thing to do when the factory's not built, right? How are you going to get somebody to agree to buy your product and sign a contract with you to buy it when you have to tell them these agreements that you're doing with me, they enable me to complete my capital raise. And you would tell them that because you're laying it on the line. And then they're going to say, okay, it's going to be another 10 months for the equipment to be built, manufactured, because that's how long it takes for that type of stuff to be manufactured. It takes a month on the water to get overseas. You get it inland, you got to transport it to wherever in the country. Then it takes 3 months to install it. So after a capital raise is completed for an industrial fiber factory, that's when the manufacturing of the equipment begins. They get it to your location, then they got to install it, which is 3 months, and get it running. So how do you overcome that problem of letting your customers know, hey, we're signing an agreement today, but I'm not going to really be able to deliver your stuff for you for a year and a half. My capital raise partners are geniuses, and I've learned this from them. They designed what's called an interim distribution program. So the industrial hemp fiber industry in America is young. There's 20 manufacturers in America. In Europe, England, China, everywhere over there, it's existing. There's infrastructure built. So what they designed was um, the same. You want to use the same equipment when you tell your customers, "I'm going to deliver you this product." Of course, you need to be using the same equipment that you'll be using so you can deliver the same level of quality and consistency. It's got to be the same equipment. You don't want it to be different when you start shipping it. And what they set up was an agreement with manufacturers in Europe to supply the needs of our customers in America for our American, the founder of of the company in America. Boom. The product will flow through. I'm going to give a shout out. Environmental Living Industries. www.eli.inc. Eli Incorporated. It's going to flow through them to their American customers. So essentially, they're supplying it, right? And then the supply chain is getting to the customer, and then as that's happening, they are essentially importers at that point, and they'll be importers until the factory is built. And when the factory is built, it's a seamless change. Boom, we don't need to import it. Now we're shipping it to you from Texas. So those are just creative ways that so many problems can be solved.
Well, Paul, that is definitely a brilliant share. As you know, talk about 1 year of, you know, inventory being sold long before you actually produce. It caused me to reflect on my academic study many, many years ago. Um, One of the subjects that I studied was commerce. Um, and while you spoke about that, it sounds like a difficult task, but it has been an essential part of the academic world in terms of the conversation and the application. We call it guarantee buyers. I mean, can you start a business and before you get to product delivery or service delivery, you have guarantee buyers? And some examples that I want to give, we have big companies like the Walmart. Because they are perhaps the largest super mall that we have in the world today, they are constantly looking for suppliers. So a healthy relationship with companies like this, depending on the field that you're in, an example, if you're in agriculture, what they're going to come to you and they're going to say, hey, we're going to buy out your entire stock. All right. Long before you start, even the planting process, we're going to buy things out, but I'm going to negotiate for it at this price. All right.
Mhm.
um, you in business, if you have the leadership like Peter would have talked about earlier, the ability to think ahead, the ability to see beyond problems, the ability to take informed action to achieve desired results, you can, garner guarantee buyers. Again, when we talk about our portal is also being built out to give our community that type of support. So once you come to us for funding, once you come to us for business support, because of the fact that we are data driven, we're going to help you to focus on the ideal client. We're going to help you to identify with the ideal client. We're going to help you to connect with the ideal client. And once you're able to tie off that kind of relationship with them, we know that that business is going to cash flow. And every financial institution wants to do business with you because you have guarantee buyers. You have a contract saying that we will buy X amount from you for X amount of period, maybe 5 or 10 years. You just need to supply this. So it is not rocket science. It is not impossible. It can be done.
Right.
And for our community, we're going to make this happen for them, Paul. So I really love that share. Peter, I see you were edging to say something. So just say before I wrap the program up.
I was just agreeing. I was agreeing with you.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, viewers, I want to say today has definitely been a pretty interesting day for us. I mean, each one of us here, we are sovereign driven leader, we are passion filled leaders, and our focus is on giving back to the community. This program came to you with the kind compliments of 10X Branded and Marketing LLC out of New York, Pitch Deck 101 LLC also out of New York, and Global Capital Inc. Also, we have other Petra Diversify Investment, who is also a critical contributory factor to this platform because they talk a lot about mindset. They talk a lot about master plan. If you don't have a plan, believe me, you might be like a ship, and wherever the ebb and flow of that sea goes, you goes with it. What Peter is saying, you need to throw out your anchor, and the only way to throw out your anchor is to have that master plan. So you have a clear sense of self, a clear sense of purpose, and a clear sense of direction. Paul, my good friend, he represents Patriot Business Financing Consultant. And this is the guy that says to you, you don't have a money problem. You only have a money problem because you don't know who to talk to. But if you talk to Paul,
Right.
he's the kind of person that's going to help you to fix whatever financial challenge you have to grow and scale your business. All right. So among us, we have a number of subject matter experts who really want to give you the support for you to win. So I encourage you to keep following this program. Join us every Saturday. Call a friend, tell a friend when we are here, so they too can benefit from these content of information. Peter, my good friend, I want to thank you for taking the time out to sit with us today. And Paul, my good friend, also, I want to thank you for taking the time out to be here with us to share with the general public. And we look forward to doing this again next week. So, with that being said, I want to wish you guys a joyful weekend until we meet again. We'll talk during the week. We have a lot to talk about, so we get that conversation uh, moving in the new week. And Peter, let's talk some update from Brooklyn College, but I'll give you some updates when we talk. Paul, I'll do the same when we talk also.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Peter.
Okay, my friends, all the best.